Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me, Virixiss, as we take a look at the changelog for the newest update to Depth called Tales from the East. If you have not seen my very first look at the update, where I give my very general first impressions without reading too much into anything, plus a little bit of first gameplay, go check out that video. It will be in the card to the upper right of your screen. Otherwise, we're going to dive right into it because there is a little bit to go over. First off, I want to talk about the new map. Overall, I really like it. It's very clean and bright. It looks very, very different from some of the really darker places, particularly places like Devil's Head or Fractured. At least that kind of style. Fractured itself is actually a very good map, don't get me wrong. But I like the map. However, it's extremely confusing, especially as a shark player. Because the first time I played it was as a shark. And there was just... You could see where the divers were, obviously, because you're a shark and you can see these things. But it's very difficult to figure out how to get in there. There was one room where I still, to this day, do not know how to get in that room. It's all because I believe the coral looks the same. And so it makes it very, very difficult for me to kind of track individual landmarks to grasp and anchor the rest of my knowledge of the map on, other than the giant honking bomber, which is probably one of the few points where I could actually get my bearings in that map. But for the rest of the map, you know, let's not end on a bad note here. The rest of the map is great, especially with the new breaching options. I've actually had a couple of plays where the breaching option allows me to jump over some landmarks and into an area. And this is really interesting because, especially to divers who have never played, or for those of us to kind of getting into, looking up at the surface of the water for sharks is not a reflex yet. I think that's definitely going to take some time as a diving main for me to think about. But breaching definitely added a whole new dimension to this game in more ways than one. So I'm very, very happy. Other than that, there are very interesting ways to enter different safe rooms. There was one particular safe room where there had 3 levels that you can kind of get into. That was great. I played a Great White, and I got to play a lot of hit and runs from there. And I really like the map. You know, it's a great addition, and I'm very happy for it. So we'll move on. The main thing about this whole update was the item drop system is being implemented. And so we have some more details in a forum post by one of the moderators, or not one of the moderators, but the developers. I think it was Baby Cat. It might have been King Jackal, but I think it was Baby Cat. It gave us a little bit more details on the actual drop system and how it works. So the drop system rewards you for completing games, and in a certain way punishes you for leaving games. And the drop is based on a timer. So playing normal length games, you will get a predictable amount of drops. There's obviously going to be some RNG factor, but if you look across the entire scale, your play time, they will kind of even out. So playing a lot of short games is not going to give you more drop chances than playing playing very few long games. So the rewards are going to be part of a tiered rarity system. So if you're like me and you basically own all the DLC for this game, you may have noticed that there is now a different wording and a colored background to each of your new skins. For example, all the shark skins are considered what's called abyssal. And that's not worrying about the quality, that's just what they're calling one of these tiers. So there are, let's see, 6 tiers. And from rarest to most common, the tier qualities are Hadal, Abyssal, Bathyal, Chasmal, Coastal, and Coral. And so different things, like most of the albino skins are going to be part of the Bathyal, I think. The Abyssal is going to be... I think the Abyssal is going to be the 2 new dragon skins for the Great White are going to be part of there. Like most of the kind of blah skins you're going to see are part of like Coral and Coastal. Hadal, I mentioned in my gameplay video that there was a seal-looking thing. That's a skin for a DPV of all things. That is the only thing in the Hadal category right now. And holy shit, I did not think it was a DPV, but what a great idea for a DPV. Grab onto a seal. That was pretty clever. Good job there. And the rewards are not dependent on your team or their performance. So you can be part of an absolutely terrible team and completely lose, or you can be just absolutely raffle stompy. It does not matter. Your drops are based on a time. Once your time is up and you're ready for a new reward, it basically will just do an RNG roll to see what you get. There were some balance changes in this particular patch, obviously. It was a fairly big patch, but the main balance changes here was a lot of buffs, honestly. Not a whole lot of nerfs, unless you consider one of these a nerf, but it can also be a nerf/buff. First thing, spear gun damage has been buffed. It went to 200 from 170, so it got a 30-point damage increase, which is nice. Spear gun was kind of in that weird limbo where it wasn't a bad weapon, but the problem was it just wasn't a harpoon. So there's that. The spear pistol actually got buffed. Its cost got dropped to 700 from 800. So that's nice. Now you can buy a spear pistol and afford at least 2 flares. Let's see here. Bleeding toxic rounds are no longer affected by ignore pain, which is nice. This means it will actually work for tank sharks now. You know, this is a change that needed to happen. It didn't really affect you too much unless you were on the higher end of things, but it was a thing that needed to happen. I'm glad to see it in here. The bull shark itself received a small health buff. Its health is now 250 base from 200 base. The maximum health on full enrage is still capped at 400, so that doesn't change. But the base, you don't fall over nearly as easily. That was the one thing I said about a bull shark, was when you're not enraged, you feel like a Mako or a Thresher. So that was the major points of this whole thing. Now, before I go, I want to talk about 2 specific things that I would like to see in the next update, particularly for player retention. Right now, the Steam Summer Sale is going on. Right now, depth is 75% off at the price of $6.24. If your friends are wanting suggestions on what to play, offer depth. And if you are feeling really generous, you can buy a 4-pack of depth for literally less than the normal game itself. For, I believe it's $18.50 something. It's less than $20. So if you're really, really generous and want to just start making it rain, buy a 4-pack of depth and offer it to 3 of your buddies. Now, with that said, new players are going to be very, very discouraged by 2 things. 1, bots. This game has a rage quitting problem. That's kind of, there's no way around it. People tend to quit whenever games look bad. People tend to quit at the beginning of matches for no other reason than they didn't get the team they wanted, and for all kinds of other reasons. But hardcore bots for experienced players aren't that big of a deal. They're kind of a pain in the ass at the beginning, but once you get the weapons down, they're not a problem. For new players, they are this massive, insurmountable wall. And especially for someone who just bought the game and that refunds are a thing, that could easily get people to say, this game fucking sucks, it's bullshit, I'm refunding this game and telling all of my friends not to play it. I would like to see something done about bots, and I would like to see something done about increased item drops for players who stay in the game with 2 or more levers. This would mean that if you stuck into a game that had 2 people leave, you know, for example, 2 sharks leaving and you have to deal with 2 bot sharks, you should get an increased chance at more loot. This incentivizes you to stay put no matter what. You know, if you've got a good chance of getting, you know, the frickin' sealed EPV, yeah, I'll put up with some bullshit sharks for a little while, because when I get it, I'm gonna look like the goddamn king. So these are things I think can help with player retention. Again, I will make another video for this. I hope you guys will keep an eye out for that. Speaking of which, if you want to stay up to date with my channel, hit that subscribe button. If you have some other thoughts about this update, talk about it down in the comments below. I will usually answer you fairly quickly. And if you like this video, well, hit the like button. And if you didn't, hit the dislike button. I'm not your real dad. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Virixiss. I hope to see you in the water very, very soon, and I will catch you next time.